Welcome to another Thursday night Bible study, brought to you as a ministry of SIGBC.
We've been contemplating the things that Christians are expected to be. And so we recap that God desires that we be kind, that we be compassionate, that we be forgiving, that we be patient, that we be understanding. And today, part 3 of be loving. Now, last week and the week before, we looked at 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 8 technically, but we were contemplating verse 8 through 10, where Peter says, above all, love each other deeply, because love covers over a multitude of sins. And we made the observation by looking at the individual Greek words that were involved in this expression, that when we are truly being loving, that is, when our choices, our attitudes, our actions, the things that we think about are based upon love, then even the wrong, even the harm that others do to us or might desire to do to us becomes covered over with love. And so today we're going to contemplate, as I mentioned last week and the week before, today we're going to be contemplating from the Old Testament another passage that talks about above all else, the concept from the Hebrew of more than anything else, here's what you need to do. Now, Peter uses this expression to say, above all else, be loving. When we talk about the fact that Jesus' command was, love the Lord your God with our heart, soul, mind, and strength, and then love your neighbor as yourself, we realize that ultimately be loving means be obedient. Because if we are loving of God the way that God desires us to be, then we will keep his commandments. In fact, that's one of the things we pointed out last week. Jesus said, if you love me, keep my commandments. So we talked about the idea of deeply being without ceasing. We talked about the idea of a multitude, meaning plethora, or a large number of wrongs people might do. And the word sin, or hamartia, in the theological sense, meaning sin or guilt, in the Greek word meaning miss, and in every Greek use meaning an error, a mistake, or a fault. And so perhaps what Peter is trying to say is be loving, because if you are loving, you'll be able to overlook a whole bunch of the faults, the errors, mistakes other people make. You will be able to accept them for who they are, an individual who is loved by God as well. As we are anticipating being loving toward God, then we find in the book of Proverbs, chapter 4, these words, above all else. And by the way, the Hebrew word for this expression above all else is mishmar, and literally means to guard or be diligent. And it's interesting because in the English we say above all else guard your heart, but the Hebrew actually uses two words for to guard. It uses the word mishmar and it uses the word for natsar, literally to protect or maintain or obey. So he's saying above all else guard your heart means guard diligently the things that you allow to come from your heart so that they are in obedience to God's call. So he continues, above all else, guard your heart. For everything you do flows from it. And then he says, some practical ways to, once you guard your heart, then you will be able to use these prescriptive actions in addition to your internal and mental contemplations. All right, so Guard your heart, and as you guard your heart, keep your mouth free from perversity. Don't let talk come to your lips. And then he says, let your eyes look straight ahead, fix your gaze directly before you. Of course, we recall from the New Testament the writer saying, keep your eyes on Jesus, the finisher of faith. So let your eyes look straight, fix your gaze directly before you. And then he says, give careful thought. You're supposed to guard your heart. What part of the act of guarding your heart or controlling your emotions is giving careful thought to the paths of feet and steadfast in all your ways. Do not turn right or to the left. Keep your foot from evil. Your foot from evil begins with the heart. That's why he says, above all else, guard your heart. Which is probably here under the inspiration of the Holy Spirit. Right, 1 Peter 4, verse 8, the idea of being loved. First, 4, John, who is older and not as impetuous as he used to be, a young follower of Christ, and who has seen and lived out the wisdom of Jesus and to love other, as Jesus said, a new command that you one another. I loved you, so you love one another. Because by all men know the disciples you love one another. So now John is able to on these teachings of Jesus. And now probably the last of the living disciples, he is able to express the same idea Jesus did when he said, dear friends, let us love one another, for love comes from God. Everyone who loves the Son of God is God. Who has not loved does not know God. God is love. So his John's observation is that if we truly know God, if we are truly willing to obey God, hearts and minds, with our lives, with our actions as well, then perhaps it starts loving, because everyone has been born of God. Genuinely is able to superficially individual who is of God. In other words, you can. God wants you to love is if that love is with a love for God. And then in 19, no fear of perfect drives fear. Because fear has punishment. The word fears is not in love. The word perfect will be translated made being what you're supposed to. So he's the word is not made complete, and we love as he. What does he mean? Is there fear of? Well, I think he's talking traditionally. So, new Christians have of rules and regulations. This is a good thing. Understand that the of these regulations result by God, and that's to do what you're supposed to do out of which bad motivation. It's not the motivation. If you do because if you do what you should be doing, command you love, you deserve to do His. So he no fear. Love that is complete. Love that motivation, action, conduct, feeling, move, because the motivation right comes from the heart. a heart, not a void. Verse 20 is, and this is 4, verse 20, verse 7 and 8, now verse. Thus this, that is, love must love them, and so there's no is only loving from the loving system. Have friends who are spiritual God, and they really devote from God anymore. And recently, week, a servant who is an depression connect connect again. Well, anyway, not a
Thank you for listening. You can also join us in person or live on Facebook every Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Japan time. This has been a ministry of Sakahogi International Grace Baptist Church.